I lied to my boyfriend and said that my son's father died. F23 M25. Preface. My son's father is not in the picture. My whole pregnancy I was physically, emotionally, and verbally ousted. He has threatened my son's life and mine as well. So I made the decision not to include him in my son's life. I left when I was pregnant. His father has never even met him, and at this point I don't think he ever will be. We are no contact. He lives 3 hours away and I also moved and he doesn't know my current address. Fast forward when my son was 5 months. I reconnected with someone from my past. I never thought it would really go anywhere at the time. When he asked about my son's father, I told him that he died, because I was too embarrassed to confess the truth. Now we have been dating for almost 2 months. And he is the most amazing man I've ever met. He adores me and I adore him. I really see a future with him, and he has expressed his desire to eventually take up the role as a father figure for my son. I've met some of his friends and cousins, and he has told his mom all about me and my son, which makes telling him the truth even harder. He thinks so highly of me. I feel so bad about this lie. Every time I look at him, the lie eats me up. I think I should tell him the truth tonight. I am going to tell him everything. I can't keep lying to him. Do you think he is going to break up with me or cut me off? Update. I told him. He didn't break up with me, but he was disappointed that I lied to him. He said that he understands where I came from and that I'm a good mother and he will always make sure I am protected. He is kind of standoffish right now. I just told him 10 minutes ago. But that is understandable. I hope that one day I can earn his trust back. He's a great man. I don't think he will break up. I think you're doing the right thing by telling the truth. It's better than finding out years down the road somehow. Please update us on how the talk goes. Tell him the truth. We have no way of knowing how he will react. But the truth is definitely best. Okay, it's going to be okay. Here's what you do. Tell him, hey honey, 2 months ago when you asked where my son's biodonor was, I said he was dead. It's true he's dead to me, but he is still alive. I just said that because I hate him. I hate talking about him and don't like going into the whole thing with someone I don't know. You know what I mean? Sometime. It's like trauma porn to people, and until I feel safe with people I don't like to talk about it. Do you have any questions for me? I think you got good advice on how to approach this. But I just want to say that a person saying they want to be your child's father after 2 months of dating is very worrisome. He could be love bombing you. He could be the type that burns hot and fast and then fizzles out. I would have my guard up and not let my kids around someone who said that so soon. It's normal to come clean about stuff this early on. But definitely don't wait any longer. And be prepared to explain why this was a special case and you would not hide anything else from him. I have been where you are. It wasn't easy telling him. But he understood. I told him. When you asked me, I didn't want to tell a man I wasn't sure was going to be long-term all my personal trauma. It just happened. In my head I couldn't tell that story again. And the dumb idea to say he was dead just popped in my head. I did tell him every time I explained. It was like reliving it. He understood, hugged me, and we have been married 20 years. My ex allowed him to adopt our daughter. And he was the best father. I hope you get my happy ending. You deserve it. After 2 months. Ugh, that's def hard. I'd take your time a little bit, but if it's eating at you, def say something. Tell him you didn't want to go further in the relationship with a secret such as this. Also, he def is dead to you. Just not in real life. If he's a good man, then he'll understand and not focus on the fact that you lied to him, but rather why you lied. He will be there to support you. That's the reasonable thing to do. You weren't as close to him 2 months ago when you told him. It's perfectly understandable that you wouldn't want to delve into something so personal. If he reacts angrily or anything, you don't want him in your life anyways. Honestly, girl, you are brave, but you need to tell him soon before it goes further. I think this is salvageable if you let him know why you lied or why you felt you needed to say this. Lie. I avoided talking about my abusive father so much that people thought he was dead. Sometimes if I felt they might think that, I wouldn't correct them right away. I didn't want to explain myself. I didn't want to run the risk of them, if it was a relationship, reaching out to him themselves to try and mend our relationship. I didn't want to explain it because people sometimes fuel themselves on others' trauma. Also, it's just painful. You need to tell him the truth. He might understand if you let him know it's because he's dead to you. That you didn't want to explain yourself to someone you didn't really know. Whatever the reasons were, whatever happens, it'll be okay. He deserves to know the bare minimum truth. That he's alive. For his safety too, TBH. From what it sounds like. Just explain it exactly as you have here. If he's even half as wonderful as you say, then it won't put him off. On a side note, be a little bit cautious about letting him become a father figure to your son. 2 months isn't even enough time to really know each other very well. I was in an abusive relationship with my children's father from ages 14-24. Every man I dated afterwards I tried to instantly to make a father for my children. It actually was harder on my children to have these new daddies coming in and out of their lives. If I could go back, I wouldn't have introduced any man to my children for at least a year. This is salvageable 100% if you tell him and he doesn't find out elsewhere. It is very, very common for victims of abuse to feel embarrassed about what they have been through. Especially once they are out the other side, safe and strong. They can't believe that they didn't see it sooner or leave sooner, and they blame themselves. It's part of the reason so many people hide it from their loved ones. It's also very traumatizing, and so some may wish to never talk about it. There's some denial it happened, minimization of how bad it was, etc. Your reaction to say the ex is dead could be either of these things or a mixture. If this guy is as wonderful as you say, he will understand this, and although he may be shocked or hurt that you lied, I am sure he will come around. Good luck, XXX. 2 months in? Tell him ASAP. Before those 2 months become years, and it would be a hell of an explanation if the kid's father ever decides to show up. I honestly feel like you shouldn't have lied, but expressed at the time you didn't want to speak about it. I too have an abusive bio father of my child. He chose to not be involved though. I understand the pain about talk about it though. Best thing to do is just be honest, and I think it'll go over smoothly. Sounds like he'll be understanding. You shouldn't have lied, but I also don't think you're a bad person for lying. Like you said, you didn't think you two would become serious. So I'm sure you felt like you didn't need to tell him your business. But you ended up falling for him, and now you feel guilty. I think this shows you have a good heart at the end of the day. Let him know that you lied because you two were just talking and you didn't want to disclose too much information. Tell him how your ex makes you feel and why you hate him. Apologize for lying, and reassure him that you haven't lied about anything else. I don't think he'll break up with you if he genuinely cares for you. You should just be honest and say, I told you that my kid's dad was dead because basically he was. At the beginning of our relationship, I didn't really love to give you all of the details, but I was abused and it was just easier to say that he was dead. I'm sorry for any confusion. I've read all the comments and wow, there is some really good advice. Excellent job, Reddit. Truth time. You will be fine either way. He might be upset at first, but I think he will understand. It's only been a couple months. Not a long-held secret. It's just not something you'd open up to anyone about in casual date conversation and questions in the beginning. I'd frame it as he was an extreme abuser you had to escape from. And that's not something you trauma dump onto someone you just started dating. Either way, he is permanently not part of you and your son's life and is essentially dead to you. It's a first dates topic to be avoided for obvious reasons. But now that you're confident and comfortable with him and things are getting serious, you want and trust him to know about your past experience.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.